Welcome back to Clover Kitchen. My name is Carol Hamilton. I'm the 4-H agent in Spartanburg, South Carolina. And today I'm going to show you how to make strawberry salsa. You heard it right, strawberry salsa. I know it sounds weird, but it's a good mix of that sweet and spicy. And if you think about it, strawberries have a very similar texture to tomatoes. And so your texture is going to be very similar to a salsa, but it's going to have that sweet and a little bit of kick flavor to it as well. So what you're gonna need to start, I've already diced my strawberries to save some time. So I have 2 cups of diced fresh strawberries, and we can go ahead and pour those into a mixing bowl. Our next ingredient is gonna be a red onion. We're only gonna use a half of it, and you wanna use a smaller red onion. And I've peeled it, but I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to cut or dice your red onion today. So the first step, I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to cut off the top of the onion. And then I'm going to flip it to its flat surface. Use my bear claw technique to keep my fingers safe. And I'm going to go ahead and cut through that base down the middle. Now I left that bottom root on because that's going to hold it together as we dice it. So I can set half of it to the side, and then I'm going to come back to this one. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to take our knife at an angle and make little tiny wedges through our onion. And we're going to go almost all the way to the end, but I don't want to cut through that root because that's going to hold it together and make it easier for us to dice in a minute. So I'm just going to keep going at an angle. And again, I've got my fingers protected. And I can turn to the other side and go ahead and do that. We're just going to angle it back down on the other side as well. Again, keeping your fingers clear of the knife. Okay, so now our onion, and I don't know if you can see it on the camera or not, but we've got these wedges all the way around. And so now when I cut this way, we're gonna have a nice diced piece. So again, using my bear claw technique, and I'm gonna go about 1/4 of an inch. And now we have all these nice little pieces of onion. I never wanna get one big bite of onion in my salsa. Maybe you do. But I like my onion to be mixed in pretty well. And again, you can kind of see where we have these wedge pieces here before we diced. And we can get all the way to the root. And that's what we've got left. We have our onion diced here, and I'm only going to use about 2/3 of what I chopped up just because this onion's still a little bit larger than what I personally prefer. And again, use what you like in a salsa recipe. Don't feel like you have to put more onion in if you're not a huge fan of onion or if this just seems like too much to you. And there I go, making a mess on my camera. Move the bowl to the onion. That makes more sense, right? So I can just slide that off. Okay, so I didn't use quite everything I chopped up, but I used a lot of it. Our next ingredient is going to be a single jalapeno pepper. Now, this is spicy. If you don't like spicy foods, you could substitute this with a bell pepper or just another pepper that isn't quite as hot as a jalapeno. But we're gonna cut the top off the jalapeno. We're gonna take the seeds out and that tough white part of the top. So I'm actually gonna cut my jalapeno in half. And as you can see, we've got all those seeds here. And so I'm just gonna take a little bowl and a spoon, and I'm going to just take the spoon down and remove those seeds in that tough center. And the seeds are the hottest part of the pepper. the oils from the seeds. So removing the seeds actually decreases how spicy your salsa is going to be. So I've removed seeds from one half. I'm going to do it to the other half. Remember, you're getting oils from this pepper on your hand. So after I do this, I'm going to wash my hands with lots of soap, and I'm not going to touch my eye or my face because that might hurt. I know from experience. And if you're not careful, you could actually get some of those jalapeno juices squirt up in your eye. Definitely not fun. So you could even use gloves during this process if you wanted to. So again, we've got our jalapeno, we removed the seeds. I'm going to set these aside, and then we're going to go ahead and dice up our jalapeno. The smaller the pieces, the better incorporated in the salsa it will be, and it'll kind of prevent someone from getting one big bite of jalapeno. So we're going to dice this, and similar to the onion, we're actually going to make kind of wedge slivers, and these are going to be about 1/4 inch thick. And I'm using my chef knife for this. Okay. And then I'm going to turn those pieces and I'm going to go ahead and dice them in small sections. And I still have some seeds on there. Okay. And this is just going to keep it to be very small pieces. I can tell this jalapeno is hot. I can smell it. This will give our salsa a nice kick and counterbalance that sweet flavor of our strawberries really nicely. Okay, so that's 1/2. We'll go ahead and do our other half here. We've got our jalapeno cut up, and I'll go ahead and place that into our bowl. Your next ingredient is cilantro. I've already washed and dried our cilantro, and I have it in a colander because I'm going to show you a trick. I used it in another video, but if you missed that video, I will show you again. So if you have a colander with small or medium holes, you can actually take your cilantro, take a stem of cilantro, and feed it through the hole, and it can pull off those leaves. So I picked a hole that was a little bit too big for my cilantro, and then it will collect in the bottom of your bowl. So we need about 2/3 of a cup of cilantro, and that's before we chop it up. So we'll go ahead and I'll feed some of these through until we get a loosely packed 2/3 of a cup of cilantro. And you can do more than one stem at once too. So I've removed stems from my cilantro, and we're gonna go ahead and chop that into some finer pieces here. And how I like to chop my cilantro is I take my chef knife, I pile my cilantro into a big pile, and then I'm just gonna come through with my knife and go ahead and chop it this way. I might have to go across this pile a couple of times to get it into the size pieces that I want. Just like I don't want a big piece of onion or jalapeno in my salsa, I also don't want a big leafy piece of cilantro either. I'd rather it be mixed in and all kind of the same size. So go across. And each time my pile's gonna look a little bit smaller as we chop them into finer and finer pieces. And if fresh cilantro isn't an option for you, you can get dried cilantro, or they have cilantro gels now in the produce section of some stores. I don't think it has the same flavor as fresh cilantro, but I would use it if I didn't have fresh cilantro as an option. Okay, and it's pretty finely chopped for me, so I'm gonna go ahead and add that to our bowl. And I will go ahead and clean off my cutting board. We've got one more main ingredient and then our salsa will be done. Our fifth ingredient today are going to be our limes. Now you could use one large lime. These are a little bit smaller, so I'm going to go ahead and use 2. And I'm going to roll my limes. You can put quite a bit of pressure on them, and that loosens up the juices inside the lime and allows us to squeeze it better. And that's what we're doing here. We're going to squeeze that lime juice. I'm going to go ahead and quarter my limes. That's going to allow me to get the most juice out of it. Now if you have a juicer, you can use that here. I don't have one today, so we're just going to quarter, and then I'm going to squeeze them into a separate bowl. The reason I'm not squeezing it directly into the salsa is I want to make sure that there are no seeds that get into my salsa. And it doesn't appear that this lime has seeds, but every once in a while I'm surprised, and it's easier to pull a lime seed out of a bowl of juice than it is your salsa mixture. And this is about 2 tablespoons of lime juice, so if you don't have fresh limes and you just want to use bottled lime juice, you could do that. It's probably about 1.5 tablespoons, but I'm going to go ahead and use my second lime. Again, I'm rolling it and making it nice and soft. I can feel the juice inside there, and we can go ahead and quarter it. This one's really juicy. It's going all over my cutting board. Okay, you can squeeze. And I love the lime juice. This is going to keep our salsa fresh. If I don't eat it all today, I can put it in my refrigerator and it'll still be good tomorrow. And that's it. We've got our lime juice. I'm going to go ahead and pour that into my salsa bowl. And I can slide my cutting board out of the way. Now I do have some seasoning, so I just have pepper and some salt. I'm going to mix this up first, and then we'll add a little bit of seasoning to our salsa. And this is just a really pretty salsa. We have our purple and our red and green. So it's just very fresh and very appetizing. Okay, so I'm going to use my pepper grinder. Put some pepper in. And then I'm going to do a nice big pinch of salt here too. Okay. And you can always adjust that to taste depending on what you like in your salsa. There we go. So I can get some tortilla chips and enjoy this fresh strawberry salsa today.